Let's bro. Oh, it looks so good.
Oh wow, her.
Okay,
Her
I thought I had married but didn't have new stuff yet.
Okay, so
This is awesome. Bro, they're showing us so much. That's a better look at him.
Boy, everyone is stupid except me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fun with Flame. I'm your host, Danieltheflame, and today I will be speaking on the One Piece live action from Netflix. Now, if you don't know, I have been very vocal about the fact that I do not like Netflix. I do not like them in the tree. I do not like them on my knee, especially when it comes to their anime adaptations. They have been a shit show since the very beginning, and they've never shown any progress of it being anything else other than a shit show.
He's out of line, but he's right.
So, for the most part, I desperately do not want them to fuck up something as iconic as One Piece. Now, I love One Piece. It is by far not my favorite anime, nor is it the greatest anime of all time. As far as I'm concerned, that spot was reserved for Dragon Ball Z. But One Piece is currently the biggest anime in the world right now. And aside from the fact that you have a bunch of mouth-breathing idiots that are just willing to regurgitate anything that they hear and essentially repeat the same cycle that has always been a curse of Netflix, which is just you basically see a bunch of people in passable cosplay, and for some reason that equals a good adaptation. No, that's not the case. It's never the case. And in fact, it's the exact same shit that you get from like MCU and the friggin' DC movies where, hell, what was it? X-Men Apocalypse. Thinking about on for that X-Men movie, friggin' how Apocalypse looked. There have been cosplayers that have, with a smaller budget than a goddamn movie studio, have made a better looking Apocalypse costume that's even fucking height proportionate than what Fox gave us, and they had like millions of dollars put into a budget to do Apocalypse. But that's generally what people are used to. That's what they get, and that's what they're used to, and so they just kind of allow that mediocrity to happen. So you hear a lot of buzzwords go by that essentially excuse whatever negative criticism that you might get for calling out something like this that from first viewing is bad or wrong or like has problems in general. Because generally when it comes to anime, particularly a lot of anime fans, especially Americans, don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Quick, change the channel.
Like they just generally kind of miss the point of what it is that made certain stuff special, or what is it that makes certain characters unique, whether it be character development, the concept, the overall construction of the story, or hell, just the idea that something like anime and manga is undeniably linear. It does not have different variations, much like you would get from comic books. Strangely enough, the French get this because bande dessinée follows the exact same suit, but when it comes to Americans in anime and manga, they don't, because our comics like have different variations and concepts. So that's why it's so easy for them to kind of pull out of their ass different concepts where it's like, oh, what will happen if this character fought this one, or what if this happened or this happened. And if you know anyone that was a Dragon Ball Z fan, they'll tell you like Dragon Ball AF was something that a lot of people really enjoyed, but ultimately it also was kind of stupid. But it was just another what if concept, and thus in Marvel and DC technically they have what if as a fucking comic. So it's not that far-fetched to understand that this is an issue that comes with essentially like Americanized comics and whatnot, but trying to cater to that mindset and putting it over to manga and anime ain't really something you can do because it doesn't function like that. Those stories are very much linear. Most of the actions that take place within them are very much canon and important to the story overall, whether it be small, minuscule moments of levity or like deep, dramatic moments where like something tragic happens. All of that stuff adds together, which makes up the overall archetype of the story and whatnot. Hell, even the story structure system is different when it comes to Eastern writing and Western writing, where we have, you know, the whole rise in action, climax, fall in action, thing like that. They kind of have this, it's a general circle story structure that kind of built on friendships, forgiveness, revival, renewal, and shit like that. So it, you know, just on a core concept, we differ. But the thing is that a lot of people kind of jump into the medium without understanding of the difference. And so then because of that, they applied their knowledge of their medium to something that generally, well, that functions on a whole different spectrum. So even if, much like the showrunner of this One Piece live action, even though he happens to be a fan, he happens to be someone that enjoys the content, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to different arcs, characters, and things like that. Even if that is the case, that does not mean he knows what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to the overall structure of One Piece. Just because you're a fan don't mean you know everything, right? And it's like, it's the same thing for me. And it's like, I'm a fan, I'm a huge fan of One Piece, but that don't mean I know everything about One Piece. Even to this day, I still question a lot of different moments that go on, and I'm basically clarified by my brother who actually buys the manga, and I don't do that. I read it, but I don't buy it. And he like tells me certain stuff that happens within the manga, and then there's also the differences between things that happen within the manga that happen within the anime. But those are things that, like, it's understandable. I get that. And it comes with that issue of essentially you're tackling something that, again, like when I say like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you're tackling something that I believe it was in an interview with it's a VTuber, YouTuber that talks about anime and stuff like that. Who essentially, I say VTuber and YouTuber, that's that's redundant. But he essentially, it's a video where he was showing him different anime adaptation scenes from Netflix, basically anime adaptations to the showrunner slash producer slash writer for One Piece. And, you know, kind of, I guess in a sort of in a wink, wink, nudge, nudge way of like, hey, make sure you don't do bullshit like this. But at the same time, it wasn't necessarily an interview, more just a fun little video. But the problem that I had with the video was that realistically, it wasn't anything that it wasn't corrective criticism. It was just a look at how bad this was. And it's like, yeah, we're going to try not to do that. And that's it. Not in the sense of like, you know, asking the tougher or harder questions. And it was like, all right, exactly what the fuck was the deal with Netflix, like race swapping a bunch of characters or gender swapping a bunch of characters? Why was that necessary when something like One Piece is incredibly diverse and incredibly gender fluid? I mean, hell, they have gay characters within One Piece. They have a whole island dedicated to men who believe that they're women. These things are major factors within One Piece. So it's like, does the idea or the identity of gender and race swapping characters even come into play when there's an abundance of those already within the world of One Piece? Why would you need to do something like that? Or the fact of like, okay, well, how do you plan on tackling so much within the story, within like, much like the other issue with other Netflix anime adaptations is that you try to tackle so much of a story within a short runtime. Why wouldn't you just shorten what it is that you're trying to get and apply that to what it is that you want to showcase?
You've got some attitude, mister.
Those would be questions that I would basically go like, yeah, like those would be conversations that you would have, especially someone who, if your thing is anime and whatnot, and it's like, and you now have this opportunity to speak with someone like him, these are the things that I would bring up and talk about. Because one of the things that they mentioned was the whole, you cannot do a one-to-one comparison of an anime, of like anime or manga being done in live action. And I believe that that's false. I believe that that's 100% false, considering the two key factors. One, the money. The money that Netflix shelled out for this is ridiculous. And realistically, when it comes to CGI, and which would be a heavily utilized thing, especially for One Piece, even though that's not the route that they were trying to take with it, which again is really stupid considering what happens within One Piece as well as the character designs and situations and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense that you would actually need to worry about trying to do a one-to-one comparison. Could you get every frame exactly correct? No, you don't have to. Do you need to showcase every little indistinguishable drawn aspect or anything like that? No, that's not necessarily necessary for a one-to-one. Hell, the anime isn't even a one-to-one, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But realistically, you should be capable of getting as close as you possibly can to the original source material. And like I said, like upon the conversation that they had, one of the things that the VTuber said was that he was like, some people argue that, you know, it's not close enough to the original source material. And then some people argue that it's too similar to the original source material. And that just, and my brain shook when he said that, because I was like, when in history has anyone ever complained about something being too similar, or too authentic, or follow too much to the original source material? That has never fucking happened. No one has ever said that. That doesn't even make any sense as a fucking argument or like a bad thing. There's like, this looks exactly like the thing that it's supposed to be adapting. I don't fucking like that. That doesn't make a lick of sense. It's so goddamn stupid. But that's what he said, and I was like, that's unbelievably dumb. But that's what happened. And that's just something I completely disagree with. Again, the money that Netflix shelled out, as well as the fact that the showrunner happens to be a fan of One Piece, should have came with the prospect and the understanding that, hey, with this budget or with this CGI, I would be capable of doing content that is rightfully very truthful and authentic towards the nature of One Piece without really discerning or like taking away anything from it that makes it special. And the thing is that it being a series that is built around and it has a linear construct, is built around this linear construct of a story that ultimately is not finished yet, which essentially has it have a bigger issue compared to, say, Death Note and Cowboy Bebop, which are over with. It has this bigger issue to where it's like, yeah, everything that goes on within the series, whether it's the reveals, the character designs, the attacks, and the battles that go on, all of those things are important. Because multiple times within One Piece in general, you have moments that take place early on that might seem like little small moments that then later on are revealed to be far grandiose and far greater concepts than you even perceived. And then it just adds on more to that admiration for One Piece, because it literally is the best anime that has ever constructed world building. Like no other anime has done world building like One Piece. You get enthralled with everything. And even when villains come back, some villains come back as good guys, some good guys become, well, generally most villains are just villains. I either say villains or villains that come back as good guys, or people who essentially are allies for a short little bit, and then they again turn against the main character or whatever. Those things have importance. So it's not anything that you can essentially take away from for certain aspects, where it's like, all right, let's not show this character during this moment, or let's not show this character when this happens because I want to cut that out, or we have an issue with time, or an issue with, or like, whatever issue you can think of. The fact remains that this is a series that generally does not allow for that kind of content because of the fact that you have so many characters, especially early on, that show up later within the series that have such a huge impact and influence in what's going on within the story. But generally speaking, everything that takes place within the story itself is very important and indicative to the characters and their development, because it's a fantastic story that does amazing world building, amazing character development, and have these very touching and poignant moments throughout the series in general. And so for someone being a fan, you should understand that, because that's what makes One Piece so special. It's probably why you fell in love with it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah?
Yeah.
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 Yeah?
Yeah.
Hell, a majority of people who look at One Piece, their favorite character isn't Luffy, the main character. Their favorite character happens to be someone else. And when you speak with them, and it's like, even if that character is someone who barely even showed up for like a couple of episodes or whatever, you still understand why they would like hold that character in high regard. There is no argument of like, oh, that's a suck character for you to like over everyone else. No, it's just, that's cool that you like that character. Why do you like that character? Now you compare that to something like Naruto, where you have these characters that essentially appear, fight once, and then they never do anything again throughout the rest of the series. And then with that, it's like, well, how could you possibly like this character when there was literally no type of development? They showed up, fought, and then they disappeared. So then there's nothing. But with One Piece, no, there's development, there's scrutiny, there's dire situations. Those characters do things, whether they seem small and inadequate or overall like grandiose and larger than life. And that's the beauty of the series itself. And so being someone who essentially says that they happen to be a fan, you would think that they would hold true to that mindset upon them actually getting the chance to make an adaptation. But upon seeing the trailer, that is not the case. And I'm going to break down like a bunch of different things that I've noticed just from the trailer alone that essentially kind of screw up anything that you could possibly do to make this adaptation actually worthwhile or good.
Shit.
And they're very fixable issues, and it just makes me, it boggles the mind as to why would you even add these situations or these things anyway, considering the fact that they hold no relevancy to the story itself, rather than it's just someone who looked at One Piece, wanted to do a show, and they did not understand what the fuck they were doing or what the fuck they were talking about in terms of the story or anything like that. And it's like, yeah, they like One Piece for sure, but they don't understand anything. And so they just went like just full cock, bang, they just didn't care what was what, just and so like let me get into it. First I need a sip of water. But number one, these are the things I noticed from the trailer that immediately just kind of let me know that this is going to be trash, and it's going to screw up everything that holds One Piece, that makes One Piece special. It really is. Number one, they show Garp.
Holy shit!
Now, this is really small and inadequate, but only because of the fact that if it was just during Gold Roger's execution, that'd be fine. There'd be no problem. Now, if you don't understand or know who it is I'm talking about or what I'm talking about, then hey, this is a One Piece thing. This is a One Piece conversation. Bleach your way out of it. But they show Garp. Now, if you don't know who Garp is, you don't know the importance, that's just, it is what it is. But like I said, if they was to show it during Gold Roger's execution, like in the beginning of the trailer, and now's when they show him, that'd be fine. That'd be fine, because then it's like, fans know exactly who he is. They understand the importance of the character. It's not anything that's being said that's taking away from what's going to happen later on when they're supposed to show Garp. But it's like that's an okay thing to do. That's something that's passable in a non, one-to-one recreation of something or an adaptation. That's fine, because again, you're not getting rid of anything. You're not instilling anything. They're not showing Garp and then screaming to the high heavens his identity, his rank, who he is, what matters, or like what matters about him and things like that. You're not giving any of that. You're just showing the character during the execution of Gold Roger, and again, that's fine, that's passable, that's whatever. The issue is that in the trailer later on, it shows Garp's ship attack the Going Merry. Motherfucker. To everyone who sat there and looked at it, all the fucking YouTube reactors and the pseudo-anime fans who look at this shit and just basically generate and regurgitate content over and over again while being these stupid-ass mouthpieces, like, because those people are just the worst. Because they basically make sure that this shit happens over and over and over again. This is why One Punch Man is going to get a live-action adaptation, and it's going to be equally dumb if Netflix does it. But that is something that does not happen at all. So it makes no sense for it to take place within the story, right? So considering who Garp is, considering what happens with Luffy and the rest of them, hell, Luffy doesn't even get a fucking bounty until he arrives at Rogue Town or Log Town. And when he does, he's not at the level to where someone like Garp should even be present. Hell, technically Garp shouldn't even be in that location in the first place. And yet, that's what they're gonna do. And it's like Garp would be there, but not in the realm of where Luffy and them are at, because Garp would be picking up Kobe. So yeah, I know what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, he wouldn't be chasing after Luffy and them. Not for the measly bounty that he got. He was doing what he was doing, and then what happened is what happened. But that is something that you could have shown. That's something that would have been an interesting side note, because that's actually content that is canon to the series, but it's only privy to people who actually happen to read the manga, because in the anime, they only give like a small little episode that kind of does a little flashback about what happens with Kobe after he leaves Luffy. But within the manga, you actually get like these small little panels that show you what happened between Kobe and Helmeppo upon Luffy and them leaving. And so then if you actually had a little bit of time, or that you actually catered to showing Garp and his crew or anything like that, to picking up Kobe and Helmeppo and things like that, that would be, again, an accepted concept. But you have Garp's crew, you have Garp's ship attacking the Going Merry, something that never fucking takes place. And again, I have to refer, if you happen to be someone that supposedly love One Piece, why would you make up such a huge fucking fabrication if it justifies absolutely nothing? That doesn't do anything to the story. That doesn't help the story in any way, nor is it something that people have asked for.
Let that nigga know!
It's a very weird and odd concept to actually bring into play within your series. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be what's going to happen near the end of the series as they're going to the Grand Line. They're going to have Garp be the one to chase Luffy and them, and just, again, really weird and odd choice, and most likely probably going to have Kobe do the whole holding gun thing and stand in front of the cannon and trying to make it to where they stop shooting at him or whatever. And it's going to be equally stupid, but whatever. So, but like, yeah, but that's a huge fucking problem, because it messes up a lot of what goes on within the story. Number 2, characters seem uninterested in being pirates or following Luffy. This is the weirdest thing, because I feel like they're actually going to play a major role within it, because it's Netflix. Netflix has a habit of punching down at people. They don't, well, I say punching down at someone who is held in a high regard. I'd put it like that, rather than just go punching up, which means exactly what I just said. But they have a habit of doing that. So even though Luffy is the main character and he happens to be the captain, he commands the crew, and everyone is willingly following him and they're open to following him, you have way too many moments within the trailers that have them questioning his actions, whether it be, kind of them confronting him over the fact that they constantly fighting wherever they go, which again doesn't make any sense considering certain characters that say that, particularly Zoro, or the fact that a lot of them just kind of look uninterested and bored in every scene that they have. Hell, the first teaser trailer, when Luffy going, I'm sensing some hostility amongst the crew, and then they go, we're not a crew. Zoro would never have said something like that, because once he agreed to join Luffy's crew, he agreed, and he was all for it. That's the kind of guy Zoro is, so having that moment, it's a whack-ass joke that they threw in there, because you gotta punch at the higher up guys. So I'm pretty sure Luffy's gonna get his ass kicked at some point in time, and it doesn't make any sense, because Luffy's not really supposed to take an L for a long time within the series. But again, bad writing and bad understanding, because the person who supposedly is a fan just don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And anyone else that would try to, help his case or to fill in for him, I guarantee you too don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Cause seriously, just because someone say they're a fan doesn't mean they know everything.
Yo, Zan, get your boy, dog.
And these are clear signs that this shit is just not going to be good. It's just, that's not going to be something that's passable. It's not going to be an okay thing to do within the realm of One Piece and these characters. Hell, they've already admitted that they're going to change Sanji's personality simply because they find it problematic.
What?
and I use quotations where I said that. They said problematic. Why? Why? That's literally important to his character. There's a integral plot point in multiple times where Sanji's personality and his indifference, well, not indifference, but his actions and his feelings towards women actually cater to what goes on within the story. So why would you feel that it's an okay thing to stop that? And if you say it's problematic for today's audience, how fucking stupid is that when One Piece is still ongoing? It's still going. It's still a continuous series, and Sanji still acts the exact same. The series has been out for over 20 some years. So how the fuck is it problematic when the fandom accepts Sanji for who he is? So why can't you, who are doing the adaptation over this subject matter, leave it alone and just recreate it with live people? That's how you get the money. But no, you got to put your twist in it. You got to do whatever you want. You're going to gay up a bunch of characters because you're Netflix. But it's so unbelievably stupid to approach this like that when that's not necessary. It's not an okay thing to do. This isn't something you can take liberties with. It has a concrete story. And for someone who, again, I have to refer to this, for someone who claims to be a fan, how can you make those things happen if you happen to be a fan? If you hold this so dear and true into your heart as you claim, then why are you making these these alterations? Fuck.
Angry young man.
All right, for number 3, Buggy looks like a reject Joker. Like, this is just it's not even a personal opinion. I can't believe like so many different people actually said that they liked how Buggy looked, and it's like realistically, yeah, because he looks like a Joker knockoff, and a lot of people like the whole face makeup thing for Joker, whether it's messed up or put on correctly, it doesn't really matter. People just like the way our Joker looks.
Yo, Zen, get your boy, dog.
The problem is that the bombastic clown Buggy does not have the little white base face paint on him. He has like basically tribal lines, and then because he has a big ass red nose, he's mistaken as a clown. Just the way how he does things just make him seem like a clown. Even the people whom he has in his crew just kind of amp on that aspect of him being a clown. But he's not someone who puts on white face paint. So he doesn't have the white face paint. He does have the lipstick on him and everything, but there's no white base with stuff put on top of that. So it's weird that they had that, because essentially his makeup in the manga and everything is done like fine. He essentially looks like I was like, it would have been fine if they made him look like Joaquin Phoenix Joker rather than Heath Ledger Joker. And I don't understand why they would do that to him, because again, he looks like a knockoff Joker, and it's not Buggy. But there's other issues with how they have Buggy within that trailer, because you basically got him in like a big top circus motif where these people are performing, and that doesn't make any sense when he's supposed to be taking over a town, because he is a fucking pirate. But again, I feel that that's going to be another fucking character dynamic that's going to be changed in terms of what they want to do. And then again, these are the same people who tackled Cowboy Bebop. So even if the showrunner happens to be who he is, that doesn't change Netflix from being Netflix, right? So I feel like, they're going to have it to where like he might be under Arlong, or they're going to have him do something else, or just it's going to be something that typically ain't got shit to do with what Buggy is or who he is. And that makes it even more ridiculous, considering, especially because like there's so many people. And again, if the showrunner happens to love One Piece the way that he did, Buggy is such an integral character later on within the series, it's unfucking believable. And if you were to look at this and go, well, the way how they brought him in or what they did with him is different, but as long as it concludes the same way, that's fine. That's the same dumbass mentality that people have with Dragon Ball Super. And Dragon Ball Super, from the jump, is broken because its foundation is fucked up. So whatever end result you go to is going to be even more fucked up because your foundation is shit. So don't listen to people who essentially would try to pettifog you away from that. And it's like, well, it's okay if they did this and that with Buggy because it's going to cater into this. No, because Buggy is supposed to be this, That way, when it caters into that, it makes sense. But you can't just sweep that under the rug if you have it to where it's like he's serving Arlong or he's pretending to be in a circus or anything like that. Hell, Buggy gets offended when people call him a clown. Most of the nickname shit in One Piece is more so just that's a nickname you got for being you, not something that the person actually chose. Luffy didn't chose being called the straw, like they didn't chose being called the Straw Hat Pirates. That's just what people call them. Luffy's symbol just happens to be a straw hat because he always has it. But that's not what he didn't call them the Straw Hat Pirates. They just got that nickname. The same thing is like with Shanks, and it's like he's red haired, like his little symbol has red hair. So he's the red haired pirate. Like it's Jesus Christ. This is unbelievably stupid. But it's one of those things where it's like, why am I educating people who supposedly like this shit or should know this stuff already? Especially if you were in charge of doing a show for it. Why didn't you read up on specifically the arcs that you were tackling and understand that you're kind of biting off more than you can chew, trying to force all of this shit within the span of 8 episodes. And I have to clarify something, because the last time I spoke about this, I thought it was 10 episodes because that's what they originally announced. And that was the backing behind a lot of people who were like, oh, you can surely fit basically what they have is 100 chapters worth of manga content to 10 episodes, considering how long they're going to make each episode. And I initially always said, nay, you fucking retard, because pacing, action, and character development, as well as the backstories, all have to take a back seat towards whatever you want to do with the progression of the story. And if you don't handle the former correctly, then you're going to fuck up everything. And now to see that, seeing that they essentially have shortened the episode length and essentially have learned nothing in terms of compromising anything else, yeah, they're definitely gonna fuck this up. Super bad. Super, super bad.
Well, why you boring me? I'm right.
Number 4. Why would anyone be hunting Luffy? Again, there's no reason for anyone to be hunting. This goes back to Garp shooting at him whenever they're going to instill that. Now, again, my hypothesis is that that's going to be near the end upon them originally trying to get into the Grand Line. Garp's going to be the one chasing them for whatever reason. But regardless of that, having it to where other people might show up and be like, oh, they're after Luffy for a specific reason will make absolutely no fucking sense. And again, you have other things that kind of hinted that this was going to be the case when you had Nami speaking that, you know, they're after you, Luffy. And it's like, huh? As well as with Zoro going, like, wherever we go, someone's trying to fight us. And it's like, huh? Whatever. And again, I don't understand whatever bullshit that they're going to make up, but I guarantee you it's going to be something incredibly stupid. Now, it's funny because I was actually asked this question. Do I believe, like, how bad do I believe this is going to be? And immediately, always, you know, the gold standard of a terrible adaptation is Dragon Ball Evolution. And I was like, it won't be that taken away from the source material in that bad. In terms of just being a shit show towards the source material. It won't be that bad. But I was like, it will be within the realm of Cowboy Bebop, as well as what's another one that I said? Yeah, not Cowboy Bebop. yeah. It will be in the realm of Cowboy Bebop. It will be terrible. Oh, Cowboy Bebop and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, damn.
I'm sorry.
There you go. Where essentially the creator took a story that was not his and essentially created his own whack-ass fan fiction, regardless of what the fuck that was actually supposed to mean or what it was going to do. So he does not care about anything else other than having this weird-ass fan fiction. So it's super annoying when you have characters, you have creators that are like this, but it just makes it even far more, it just makes me angry at the fact that it's like, if I had your job, I know I can make this shit amazing. Like, because I actually care. This shit actually stays within my head. I actually have people that I could go to for reference on certain things. I understand what it is that fans truly enjoy about this series. And it's like, were you in the trenches looking at One Piece back when they used to have the subtitles were done fan made, and then essentially every time characters did attacks, they had special animations toward the subtitles whenever they were shown. Shit like that. You know, did you watch the episode when you couldn't see it online or whatever site you went to, and then you would look at the little YouTube square where someone would upload the whole episode, but you can only see it in a small little section? Were you in the trenches back then looking at the series? I could respect you more if you were like that, rather than just, you know, I just went on Crunchyroll and just start streaming all of it. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty interesting. Fuck out of here. I'm not saying you're any less of a fan, but I am saying that there's a clear difference in terms of dedication and admiration towards this shit for someone who would willing to stick it out with the lowest of low quality just to get the story and to continue on the journey with these characters that they love, through that aspect, and someone who's like getting it in 1080p perfect and like it's just put right on their fingers and they kind of just look at it from their phone, and whenever when they're like working on something and kind of like in passing glance at what's going on.
I'm just like everyone else.
There's just levels to this shit. There's levels to this fandom. But it just goes to show us, like, if I was in your position, I know exactly what I would fucking do. Hell, the perfect mindset to have would be to make this entire first season end after the Barati arc. That would be the perfect place to end it, because then you can introduce the whole Nami betrayal thing. So then you just end it with that. So once that's over with, and then Luffy's on his way to go to Arlong Park, while they're going, there you go. Like, that's your next season. And then you just introduce the Arlong Park. You just have Arlong Park as well as Logtown or Roguetown. And then that would be your second season. And people would think, or they would claim, or they would say, this seems like it's not a lot because it's just two little things. But it's like, there's so much that gets covered within that you can use for character development, as well as the fights, as well as big poignant moments, as well as grandiose things and whatnot. Hell, you could end the series itself with them going up the reverse mountain, trying to get into the Grand Line, and that'd be it. And then you just end, bam, your second season ends showing Laboon in this big ass fucking whale. It's like just,
Sounds to me like someone's got a case of the Sposdas.
It's so easy. It's so easy to do. But you have people who, like, you can look up the different parts with, like, the showrunners and the different people were talking about the shows. They were building the boats because they thought that really, really, really fucking mattered, and it doesn't. When they were building these boats, and you had, like, the director of cinematography, who essentially was like, the director of photography, who was like, she watched all of One Piece upon getting the job to do this. And it's like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, it's like, I understand if I get the idea of you wanting to see all of it, but realistically, what's the point of looking at all of it when you're only covering a small section of it? You know, just like, you're boasting that you've seen all of it. That's whatever. A lot of people are like that. But realistically, it's like, did you understand? Did you get what was going on? Did you look at all of One Piece and then you go, hey, I think we're rushing some shit because a lot of this doesn't make any fucking sense? Did you do that? Did you just keep going around going, I watched all of it. I looked at every single episode. I saw all of it. That doesn't fucking mean anything. Did you understand? Did you get the message? Jesus Christ. Okay. I got some more. I still got some more. So now we're going to get into the realm of essentially the shit that lets me know. Like before, these are things that I have small issues with. The first four that I mentioned were like issues that I could have within the trailer that might be fixed upon the actual finished release of the series. Well, except for the Garp part. Yeah, except for the Garp part. You know, like Buggy looking a certain way. That's a visual aspect. That's something I could easily get over with if it's done correctly. People hunting Luffy. That might just be a mistranslation. Like, that might be something that essentially isn't taken as the way that I think it is upon the actual series coming out. Hell, or the characters seem uninterested in being pirates. Again, that might be something that gets rectified within the series. I do not know. But now we're getting into shit that just straight up is wrong, and it already lets me know this is going to be trash because Netflix do what Netflix do. Fisherman in the Barati.
I just said
I just took a doodle on myself. Now you, damn! I hope this was worth it. Fuck anyone who would dare doubt me on saying that this isn't something that would just doesn't fuck up everything. There is no excuse for the Fishman to be in the Barati. There's no fucking excuse. There's nothing you can say to me that would make sense for that to even connect together. You understand me? Do you understand me? Now again, this is how I know. This was irrefutably the main fucking reason that let me know that these people don't know what the fuck they talking about. That the showrunner didn't know what he was talking about, that the writers don't know what the fuck they talking about, and any goddamn body out there who sat there and told themselves, this still looks good, and they happen to be a One Piece fan, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because the Fishmen would never have been in the Barati. Not only that, but the fact that they would show them in the Barati means that only one fucking thing could possibly happen, right? This is the only thing that could happen within the story actually taking this turn. The Fishmen are going to show up, defeat our main characters, and then return to Arlong Park, in which the main characters will then follow to then fight them again and then beat them. I bet you dollars to donuts that's exactly what's going to fucking happen. And again, to rectify how I know that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about when you're thinking of One Piece, these niggas were not weak. They did not get stronger every time they fought a different pirate. Circumstances changed upon them fighting different people. Hell, Zoro was hurt and missing 2 swords when he took on Hachi and defeated him. He was gravely injured, and even Arlong understood that the only reason that we basically got one up on him is because he's hurt. He needs to get killed immediately because that dude already killed a bunch of fishermen on his own. So, and that was just with 1 sword and still being injured. And then again, Luffy does not train. He does not get stronger. He does not meet a master that teaches him a special technique or anything like that upon them fighting the fishmen. Circumstances happen to where it's like the only reason they didn't get their ass kicked was that they did not meet them yet. That's it. That's it. That's how every single fight that takes place within the early East Blue Saga happens. Luffy doesn't technically take an L until he comes across Smoker. And even then, that's only because he's a Logia. And he just didn't know people could do that when it came to Devil Fruits. That is it.
Right now, I need to scream. I need you to find me somewhere to scream so I don't have to do it here. No, wait a minute. I'm going to scream here and now because I can't hold it in. So here we go.
Do you understand how you fuck up so greatly in a story? This is not something that you could just easily pass on as like a, well, it looks nice. It seems like it's following stuff. No, the story is the story. It's integral to the character development as well as what's going on. Nami was someone who believed that no one could take down Arlong. Luffy, upon them coming to Cocoa Village, already were at the level that they needed to be at to defeat Arlong. They just didn't fight him yet. That's it. And so to have in the trailer, you have Sanji attacking the Karate Merman, and then essentially, fuck all, it seems as if he's not he's not able to hurt him. That's so irredeemably ridiculous. Because upon them actually throwing down, when they did fight, the merman thought he was hot shit because he was whooping Sanji's ass in the water, who was clearly focused on doing only one thing. And then upon him coming out of the water, he proceeded to beat the shit out of the merman, who was assumed because of his greater strength, and then because of they were specieses, were racist, because they were racist like they were superior in every way, shape, or form towards regular humans. And Sanji, being someone with no powers, no abilities, not even fucking haki at this point in time, was able to whoop the fuck out of a merman who was a master of the merman karate, and he beat him effortlessly. And it's like the only reason that it just didn't happen earlier was because they were in the water and he was trying to help Luffy. So again, how the fuck do you look at that and then you show a scene from the trailer when these motherfuckers are in the Barati whooping their ass? That's irredeemable. That's not something that you can sit there and go, oh, I'm just picking and prodding at this series and I'm not giving it a chance or anything like that. No, that's a fuck up. That's a huge fuck up that lets me know this is going to be trash, because Luffy is not the type of character who essentially gets his ass kicked and then has to come back and try again. That doesn't make any sense. One Piece doesn't function like that. Bad shonen function like that. One Piece does not. One of the reasons why it's One Piece. Motherfucker. It's unbelievable that so many people essentially forget, or they just misconstrue that information, or they just don't pay attention. Like they don't recollect or remember or just even go back and look at the earlier developments of stuff, because it's like, yeah, it's not the flashier techniques, it's not the big transformations or nothing like that. Yeah, that stuff is nice, it's impressive. The later animation does look a hell of a lot better than the earlier animations, but the foundation of these characters define and create everything that these characters are about. And to ignore that would be to ignore the character in themselves. And if your series is supposed to be an adaptation of the earlier original foundation of these characters, then motherfucker, all you have to do is follow that story.
Let that nigga know!
Again, I have no issue with them making a live action adaptation of One Piece. I have an issue with them not following One Piece to make a live adaptation of One Piece. That clearly shows that these characters are not going to be the beloved One Piece characters, and Netflix is going to do the same shit that they've always done all over again. And there just happens to be an abundance of YouTubers out there that are too fucking stupid to see past their own hubris to understand they're being tricked all over again. And then when it comes out and everyone reveals that it's shit, none of them are going to sit there and realize, I guess we were dumb. We were sitting there promoting this shit, talking about this shit. Whoopity whoopity whoop. You have any idea how angry the Japanese got at Cowboy Bebop? You have any idea? They were so mad. And now you're going to take the biggest anime and manga in the world right now. I believe One Piece is the longest running manga series of all time. It's still not the longest running anime of all time, but it is the longest running manga series of all time. And you plan on fucking it in the ass. You diversified the characters because of the fact that Ichiro Oda said something that essentially he probably should have never said, and that's probably what gave people the green light to do this bullshit in the first place. So you sat there and picked and prod wherever you want these characters to come from, even though they don't live on normal Earth. Fucking idiots. So then you did that to diversify everybody. So it was like, well, where would Nami be from? Maybe England. Where would Luffy be from? Brazil. Fucking idiots. Zoro, he Japanese. She does like bastards. It's like every single one of you idiots. Good Lord. And then you would sit and it's like, again, that's as soon as I saw that one in the trailer, I was like, well, they fucked up. Now I was like, anything else that you could possibly think of in terms of that you can ignore visually, that you can ignore just as an aesthetic, the Barati itself not being a fucking ship graveyard because of Don Krieg's ship getting fucked up because of Mihawk showing up. And I was like, well, I don't know exactly what they're going to do for Mihawk, so, I gotta wait until it pops up. The thing that they're showing me is stupid because they jumped in the air to do a clash, and that just seems wrong. As well as the fact that Zoro didn't have all three swords on him, because I'm pretty sure they gave him an actual real sword and they told him to stick it in his mouth sometimes, when realistically you wouldn't do that because that would be hard for someone to do that they haven't trained their fucking neck and teeth muscles. Yeah. But again, I'm not the idiots running this show. I would have been smarter. I would have made Watto a little bit lighter or thinner or something that could fit into someone's mouth and that actually be fine. Or edit in the sword later on so he just has him have a mouth guard with like a little green piece attached to it, and you just have to pretend that you're hitting someone with the weapon. But instead, they want everything to be real. And considering the fact that Zoro's at his strongest when he's using all three blades, you're not really doing that well, you fucking idiots.
Oh, I know how to kill him.
Ooh, kill him. Ooh, kill him. Ooh.
There's just so many problems with these people. So many problems with these people in terms of them believing that they know what's best for everybody when all everyone wants is just for you to be kind and respect what the fuck it is that you're looking at. And they can't do it. Is it because they're American? Is it because they just don't understand anime on a general level? Is it because they can't see past their own hubris? Is it because of the fact that it's like none of them can get over this hump of just anime is, in general, vastly different from comic books? I don't know. But I will forever criticize this shit because it will continuously piss me off. And I still got some more to go. God damn it. Now, another issue that I have is that too much money was spent on this for certain parts of this trailer to look this bad. Now, I know recently they came out with that issue where someone was wearing a fucking smartwatch and someone pointed it out in the trailer. That's hilarious. But it, again, much like with Game of Thrones, how the fuck do you mess up that badly when you have this much money? A lot of the wire work that they had, especially in particular for Sanji's character, seemed incredibly terrible when it's like, why does this look like this? It reminded me of the DOA live action movie. Let's just remember that for a minute. Remember DOA? Remember the game DOA? Now remember they made a movie about DOA? I gave that movie as a birthday gift to a very close friend of mine who happens to be a huge fan in the DOA fighting game community. He's a big player too. And I just thought, wouldn't it be special to give it to him? He told me he threw it somewhere in his house and he has no idea where it is.
Yo, Zan, get your boy, dog.
I'm gonna buy him another copy one day. Don't worry. I know. He must really, really love that movie. But that movie has some of the worst wire work that you could see within a movie, especially when it comes to just practical effects. So you're trying to make it look as authentic as possible, but it just seems like, whether it came into the editing or just whoever was controlling the wires themselves, it just looks really, really fucking bad. And so within this trailer, they have a lot of that only when it comes to Sanji, as well as the Mihawk Zoro jump up in the air part. And it's just, you don't got a full grasp of the action and whatnot because it ain't completely out. But from the trailer, the stuff that they shown wasn't anything that was like, that's fucking interesting. Hell, they keep showing Sanji with his hands in his pocket, and I can only assume that that's to hide the fact that he's like grabbing onto the harness, so he can flip and move in the air and whatnot. But realistically, if you were going to be as realistic as you were, and then Sanji being the practical person that he was, it would have behooved you to have picked someone that was capable of doing essentially, I would say, it wouldn't be Capoeira, but they would have this similar training to where it's like, you're going to be doing a lot of handstands and flips and things like that because that's just what Sanji do. So what he do. So just like, you would have someone that would fit in that realm, and then you would just have him do a lot of kicks and whatnot in that concept. So it should not have been, like keep him in his hands in his pocket, because like, Sanji does that sometimes, but not all the time, and you damn sure shouldn't highly rely on it in order for you to hide the fact that he's holding on to the harness or the wires when he's in the air and whatnot. But then it's just the actual motion itself of how the wire work is done, and it just kind of looks very off-putting and weird. And again, too much money was spent on this, and for something to look that bad. So for me to be able to see that in the trailer, too much money was spent, and in order for me to be like, why does this look funny? That should never be the case. That should have been the last thing that I would have a complaint about, is the action or any other missteps like that, because all the practical stuff should have been well trained and buffed out from the jump before you even had an overall, before you even had a trailer. But seems as if they missed a step like that. That's something that's a big problem. Now they could edit and fix this. It could look a much better later on, but it's Netflix, so I don't trust that at all. Now, number 7. This one is just personal. This is absolutely personal. By all means, you can talk about me bringing this up, but I got to, because it's just so disrespectful and stupid, as well as like, you know, you had a layup and you didn't fucking take it because you're stupid. And again, you don't know what you're talking about. And obviously you say you're a fan, but I feel like you're a fan in name only. The Mary looked terrible. The Mary just looks bad. The fact that the head of the Mary is this open mouth, damn near realistic looking goat, when you just had a chance of just doing the cartoon Mary, or not say cartoon, but the anime look of the Mary, because that wouldn't have been a problem. It would fit with One Piece, as well as it could have been a nice little nudge to a lot of fans, to where it's like, yeah, this thing actually looks like the Going Mary. So like and then a lot of other people's ships actually look like their ships, regardless of the look itself. Just because that happens to be a 2D thing doesn't mean that you couldn't have that. It would have been fine. It would have been much appreciated. A lot of people probably would have liked that, because the thing that you got is kind of like a indistinguishable bookmark to let you know what you're looking at is trash. This is something that's just bad. The mouth is open. It looks goofy. It doesn't look like the little kitty funny little thing that the Going Mary is supposed to be, that's kind of off-putting because of the fact that it's like, hey, this is the ship that belongs to a dangerous pirate crew. And it's like, the head looks like that. And I just don't like it. And I do not like it. I do not like it, Sam. Another thing that's kind of just an indistinguishable note that lets you know this is going to be trash, because it's like, yeah, you're not going to care towards the source material and just stuff adding up in with logic, right? And that would be number 8. Nami helped free Zoro and was at Arlong Park.
Extreme makeover.
So at the end of the trailer, it shows Nami step up with the guys when they step into Arlong Park. Nami didn't go there. So that immediately was a fuck up, because who would Nami fight in this scenario, in this situation? And then again, you take away from the importance of Nami seeing her friends actually fight for her, and then relishing in that, because she kind of always felt that she was alone doing what she was doing for her village, and now she actually had friends who was willing to fight and help her. And then when she finally asked for help, they went and they whooped Arlong's ass, and then she saw the climactic battle between Arlong and Luffy, and then how it meant so much for her just to see, you know, the maps and the shit fly away, fly in the air and all that before Arlong Park was completely destroyed. But when you take all of that out, then you destroy that character moment, that dynamic, the beauty of that, because you don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, bitch. Oh, this shit is annoying. This shit is so annoying to me. I hate it. I hate it so goddamn much. And then not only that, but then you also have Nami being there when Luffy is breaking Zoro out. Now again, this is one of those things that shows you exactly what level Luffy and Zoro are at early on within the series, and then how does that cater over to the rest of the characters that they fight later on. And it was just Luffy getting Zoro. That was it. That was Luffy getting Zoro. Luffy getting Nami was a whole nother situation. And then because of how that plays out, it adds into the whole aspect of her being able to betray them freely as they did. This shit is a linear story for a fucking reason. These reimagines of the story and this fan fiction concept are undeniably broken, because you're taking away shit that essentially has to happen this particular way in order for the rest of it to make sense. And when you break away from that, you sit there and think, oh no, I'm gonna make it make sense later on, but it literally cannot. It cannot make sense. Fuck. Oh, this is annoying. This is so annoying. It's like Luffy was supposed to be the one to break Zoro free by himself. Why? Because Nami was doing what she was doing to get in the good graces of Buggy. Because that leads into why Nami joins with Luffy and then essentially gets another dose on who it is that she's fucking with. Because even Luffy lets her know, like, you know, you messing with pirates. And it's like, this shit real. They gonna kill me. And like, you need that, because again, adds to these characters and it lets you know what they're about. And I guarantee you another thing is that they're going to make Luffy just basically a big ass walking joke. And so because of that, you're never going to get any of the serious aspect that comes from Luffy when he does take shit seriously, because they're going to constantly keep having him as this walking joke. So you're never going to get those dynamic or those moments where it's like, all right, now you're about to see the captain, you know, and it's like, hey, first you was laughing with Monkey D. Luffy, now you with the captain of the Straw Hats, you know? And like, it's not going to do that. I can tell they're not going to do that. I also believe that the reason that Usopp wasn't in the trailer that much is because of the fact that a lot of the shit that Usopp is going to say is going to be anti-Usopp. They're going to try their damnedest, because of the fact that he's black, to make him not as pathetic as he actually is. And it's going to be teeth pulling. Like, I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of moments where Usopp is just going to talk down or talk shit to Luffy, and he just kind of lets it happen.
He's a real flat tire. I mean a cube, man. He's putting us on the train to Squaresville, Mona.
And I'm not going to like that. I'm not going to like that. Now, again, they might not. But again, it's Netflix. So, by all means, like, you should understand, me making a guess about something is small in comparison to Netflix's track record of pulling the shit that I'm talking about, right? so fuck whatever you feel about what it is that they're doing and how much you think, oh no, it might actually be good. No, fuck all that. It's still Netflix. It's still the same people who tackled Cowboy Bebop. It's still the same people who showed the Ganymede Rats, as well as the Floating Assassin. They showed Vicious, they showed Julia, showed Faye, showed Jet, Spike, and fucking Edward. And they happened to take it in, what was it, an 8-episode, 10-episode series? 8 episodes. In 8 episodes, and jumble and fuck everything up in the worst possible way. That's what they just did. And then those people immediately jumped onto One Piece before they even got to see what they had wrought from doing what they did to Cowboy Bebop. And you expect me to be lenient and believe that, oh, it might actually be some good? Fuck you and the horse you rode in on, you dumb motherfucker. I am not this idiot who will sit there and rise up in jubilation at just the announcement of something that I happen to like being given an adaptation. I wanted to be respected. I wanted to be liked. I'm a huge, to give you some clarity, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man, right? And Spider-Man got turned into a live action movie back in like the fucking 70s or 80s. And it involved a dude throwing a rope at people and a net coming out, and then essentially weird wire mechanics to have him crawl up and down the walls. I bet the people who were responsible for making that couldn't believe or dream that what would happen in the 2000s with Tobey Maguire when it came to Spider-Man was even possible, right? So I understand the prospect of being like, hey, what happened with Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man was something where it's like, yeah, this is much better than what they were capable of doing back then because of graphics, graphics, special effects, and all that, and what have you. But still, it was something that was in the realm of Spider-Man. It was Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire did a really good Spider-Man movie. It was a fantastic movie that led on to the superhero genre that we got now. It was a great movie. And I said was in past tense. It is a great movie. It's a wonderful fucking movie. And nothing about that movie makes me look at it and go, there's no fucking way Spider-Man would ever do something like this. There's no way Peter Parker would ever have this moment. There's no way any of this makes any sense with this character. All of it makes sense. All of it is good. All of it is fantastic. And so when you look at something like that, the problem and the difference between something like Spider-Man and something like One Piece, or Dragon Ball Z for that matter, or any fucking anime, is that this is something that by default has only one way to tell its story. When Tobey Maguire did his Spider-Man, as well as the Spider-Man movie from the 80s or the 70s, I do not remember exactly when that movie came out, but that was something that was a story that had multiple tellings of said story already by that point in time. There were different iterations of that character. There were different concepts of that character. There were different universes in which that character existed by that time. So then it was okay to have, hey, if you put him in this scenario, but you keep that character true to who he is, people will enjoy it. The audience at that time who grew up with said character have seen multiple cartoons, read multiple comics, looked at small little movies and specials that they had about said character, to where that all made sense, to where it was easily digestible to look at something that only had this one way of being showcased and then given to you. So when it comes to One Piece, which doesn't have anything else aside from the manga and anime, things that are damn near 1-to-1, and there's slight differences between the manga and the anime, slight, and those slight differences generate from small things to where it's like, hey, the Japanese won't allow as much blood and this violence that's showcased within the manga to be put on something on television. They did the same fucking thing to Dragon Ball Z, especially when it comes to Toei Animation, which is highly kid-oriented rather than adult-oriented, even though the subject matter of Dragon Ball Z and One Piece gets in a graphic aspect certain times within the series. Hell, Luffy gets a fucking hole put in him because of fucking crocodile. And when he does balloon, like water starts coming out of it. But it's something that like is like those things. It's like, yeah, I understand. There's a difference. Hell, in the manga of One Piece, Alvida and Luffy fight on land, while as in the anime they fight on her boat. That's a small little subtle difference, but it doesn't change the core concept of what was going on within One Piece that would greatly and disastrously change overall structure of what goes on within One Piece. Luffy still defeats Alvida. He just did it in a different setting, right? But he still defeats Alvida and he still goes on a journey with Kobe. That's fine. Alvida, after taking that L and then upon her getting her fruit, then chases after Luffy upon joining up with you know who and then blah 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 blah. That still happens because those were small, subtle changes. Not huge, grandiose, taking the story, twist his fucking head off. I guarantee you they're going to keep Alvida fat, if not make sure she never shows up again. Even though Alvida does come back. It's actually important while she comes back. Fuck. Oh, I do not trust these people. I do not trust them, Sam. I do not trust them with a ham. But it is just so obvious to me when, again, you can allow certain things to slide because of the fact of how it was presented to you and what it is that you grew up with and what it is that it was showcased and how it was showcased. There's been different amazing stories that involve Spider-Man and whatnot to where people far more, instead of remembering the more so like the story in general, people would refer to the run of the person who was doing the comic at the time, and it was like, yeah, that run of Spider-Man was actually really good. Then it passed on to someone else, and then they did something else with Spider-Man, and then people might remember it, might retcon it, it might be whatever, and that shit just stays within perpetuity of like the character himself, and that's just how American comics function. But again, you're dealing with a totally different beast. You're dealing with manga and anime. This isn't something that you can generally deviate from like that, and then essentially you just get an A-OK from an A-OK simply because it's like, just be different and be bird. Look at Battle Angel Alita. Battle Angel Alita should be the fucking storyboard backbone of every fucking anime adaptation that exists hereafter, because Battle Angel Alita is a perfect fucking 1-to-1 adaptation of taking OVA and then actually making it a live action movie. Now it got even to the point where they added shit in Battle Angel Alita, the live action version, because yeah, the OVA just really doesn't have that much interesting things going on, and then the shit they added was basically a game that didn't really exist in the OVA, and more so they just added on, put her in, and it just gave it a new sense of action for a scene that really It was just interesting. It was interesting, fun to watch, and it was cool. The only problem with this, and the reason why a lot of people don't even kind of put that into their mindset, is because Battle Angel Alita was realistically a niche show. Well, that's a show. A niche OVA that a lot of people didn't even register or even realize was basically being an adaptation of an anime. But it was a very niche little thing. The manga is whatever. I'm pretty sure a lot of more Japanese people would know it over than Americans. And the OVA itself is fucking boring. So when they did the live action thing, it too boring. It's still boring. It was like, you did an adaptation fantastically, but it's over something that's like, it's like, I don't want to look at it again. Whatever. To this day, people still would like, even I would love to see a live action version of Dragon Ball Z. But is anyone capable of doing it? Fuck no. God no. Where could you possibly begin to where any of it would make sense? Because you for damn sure couldn't grab anyone's attention by starting off with Dragon Ball. Not, especially not Americans. But it's like, if anything, the perfect thing to do would be, I'm going on tangent, because essentially, like, what I'm saying is that they need to just reanimate Dragon Ball Z, because I guarantee you, they reanimate Dragon Ball Z with the beautiful animation that they have now. Who the fuck would give a damn about Demon Slayer? It ain't got the chops to hold up to Dragon Ball Z's amazing and epic story. It don't. It just don't. That's the reason why Demon Slayer as a manga is over with and no one gives a fuck about the ending. It's not talked about. It's not remembered in perpetuity. The anime is going to end, and I swear to God, people are just going to move on to the next pretty thing. But with Dragon Ball Z, that thing is still held in the highest regard, and people still criticize and talk about it and compare it to everything else that comes out. That does not happen unless you're fucking special. DBZ is special, and One Piece does the same fucking thing, so you need to respect it as such. Damn it. So I'm going to end on a high note, and a high note is my predictions on how mainly they're going to fuck up. Before, it was just my issues with the trailer, but now my predictions on what they're definitely going to do to fuck up. Number one, well, I said number one. They're going to make fun of the source material. They can't help themselves when they do this shit. Look at Netflix. Look at everything Netflix has ever done. All the things that they've done that basically come from a fandom that they've basically got in charge of. They have undoubtedly made fun of the source material every fucking step of the way. Whether it's from the fucking Witcher, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, every anime adaptation they've done, you name it, they've done it. They looked at it and then they criticized it, even though those are the people who would hold this in high regard and want to watch this shit. And they look at those people and they go, fuck you. You're not deserving of our writing skills and talent. And now, look at them. Netflix is hemorrhaging money like a motherfucker. But I guarantee you they're going to make fun of source material. Why do I believe this? Well, remember in the very first teaser trailer, you had Luffy talk to Zoro and he said, all great fighters call out their fighting moves. And Zoro said, no, they don't. That was something that was unbelievably stupid to say. It's a callback to the ridiculousness that exists within the world. It's an actual term. I cannot remember what it is at this point. But it is a term and it's constantly used as like a writing trope. And like a get out of jail free card when you basically have a character kind of announce or admit something that's ridiculous is ridiculous. You know, always think of the example of being, it's a part in 24, the show, where someone comes up to Jack Bauer and they go, Jack, it almost seems like you're always in some like dire world-threatening situation every time I see you. And he just kind of like laughs it off. And it's like, no, but that literally is what Jack Bauer does. So you're kind of making fun of yourself for being something that just kind of can't figure out what else to do with this character other than put him in these ridiculous situations. You know, and it's like, it can work or it can't work. But realistically, you are making fun of the source material whenever you do something like that. Now, the issue with One Piece is that One Piece is a shonen manga. They do shit like this. They call out the name of attacks. Zoro calls out the name of attacks. Everyone calls out names of attacks. Even people like Usopp scream out the name of his attack when all he's doing is flinging a fucking slingshot. It happens. It's what that world is built upon. The thing is that there's never a point in time in all of One Piece where they have to explain that they're doing that. Nor do anyone that's watching the series that happens to be American need someone to explain to them why the fuck do they do that. You take it for what it is because that's just what's in the series. So there's nothing to question. There's nothing to argue. There's nothing to get bent out of shape about. It's just what they do. Whether it's a cultural thing or something that you just don't know about because you're new to anime and manga, that's whatever. But you don't need anyone to explain that to you or to mention it in order for it to have some type of value or anything like that. And it's like, yeah, as you're looking at it, you see that whenever they do an attack, they call out the name of it. Cool. Everyone does that. So that's just what they do. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Their money is called berries. You don't question why they call it berries instead of dollars. Whoop-de-fucking-do. It's what it is. That's how world building works. That's how it's just what it is. It's like they live on a planet where basically the majority of the land masses are just islands. It's just islands. No big countries. Like each country itself is just a big ass island. But they're all islands. That's it. But you'll sit there and go, but where's Africa? Did it sink? So because of that, and just Netflix's track record, they're going to do that bullshit. They love to do that bullshit. It's annoying when they do that bullshit, but they're going to do that bullshit. And then that just makes me wonder what the fuck they're going to do with the other characters later on. Because even if you have Zoro essentially say, no, they don't, and then he starts calling out the name of his attacks later on, then essentially you're going to make it weird for everyone else because villains even call it the name of their attacks. And it just seems like something that Luffy kind of made up on the fly because he has like a childish mindset. But that shouldn't be the case because, again, everyone does that. And it's actually is something that's actually done within that world. So it should not be this weird thing, but they're gonna make it a weird thing. I do not like them. But I believe they're definitely going to do that. They are most definitely going to do that. Yeah, I already talked about Usopp's bad dialogue. Yeah, I wrote shit down. Don't worry. Heavy character assassination. Now, this comes from them actually admitting the fact that they were talking about doing what they were doing to Sanji. And again, just from the small moments that they had within the fucking trailer that they did about certain characters and how they spoke and how they were talking. More so Zoro, more than anything. Hell, even a big emotional moment for Zoro is when he's in tears after his defeat against Mihawk. And then he swears they'll never lose again. It's a real big serious moment. And the fact that the trailer itself shows him bandaged up and I guess looking to Luffy, and he's just calm as you could possibly be in the world of Sasuke from Naruto. He's just, you are my captain now and forever. And it's like, where's the emotion? Where's the feeling? Where's this strong, capable character finally breaking down because essentially the dream that he's been training for his whole life just essentially is so far out of his fucking reach. He was so close to it only to realize exactly how far away it actually is. And then he felt bad, not because of the fact that he just lost, but also because he let down someone that he kept swearing to over and over again that like, nah, I'm gonna be this. I'm getting there. That's what I want to do. And then upon me realizing my dream, I realized that, man, I got shut the fuck down. And it's like, how do you face someone like that when it's like, man, you was talking a lot of shit and you just got your ass whooped. And it's like, it's a serious breakdown moment. And it's just, you gave the delivery of just the lamest kind. And again, you're supposed to be a fan. You're supposed to have liked this. You're supposed to care about these moments that actually make you care about these characters. How can you fucking shy away from shit like that?
None of that story is true, is it, Carl?
No, I made it all up because I crave attention.
Fuck! This shit hurts. It's not even my favorite anime. Oh my god. I am a actual fan. Like, right? Like, I'm a fan. Like, I'm an actual fan. Ah, damn it. Yeah, I like the later stuff that happens within One Piece more than the earlier stuff. But again, the foundation builds so fucking much. It's the equivalent of me looking at different stuff within Dragon Ball Z. I own every episode of Dragon Ball Z as well as every episode of Dragon Ball. But no matter what, I don't look at the Dragon Ball Z stuff and go, wait, why is Goku so upset when Krillin died? Goku's done this before. Well, but why would he turn Super Saiyan? Because the situation right now, they might not even have fucking Dragon Ball. Krillin's dead. Like, he dead this time. That's his best friend growing up. Yeah, but why would they make him transform? Jesus Christ. It's like, you don't know because you didn't look at the foundation. Go fuck yourself. And it's like, even if you could instill or to showcase why this would be important, then you shouldn't tackle Goku turning into a Super Saiyan if you was to do a live action version of this. Because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's what's happening with this goddamn One Piece writer. It's like, dude, this shit looks terrible. And you just got so many mouth breathers looking at the shit. And they're seeing the cosplay. And that's it. They're not putting shit together. They're not looking at it and going, why is he here? Why are they there? Is this part supposed to be this? The fuck going on? None of them doing that. They're just mouthpieces. Ooh, that was cool. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. That was the word I hate hearing the most from those fucking reaction people. But yeah, that again is like, your job is to make this something that a fan would go, yes. And also something that someone who hasn't even seen One Piece would go, maybe I should look into One Piece. That is the ultimate goal of a fucking adaptation. That should always be the goal of an adaptation. And particularly for manga and anime, because of the fact that manga sells anime and anime sells manga. They work hand in hand. People, like, hell, one of my friends has a habit. A sick habit. He's sick. Where he'll watch an anime if it's brand new, and he'll watch it if he's interested in it. He goes, I'm not waiting for another season, and he'll fucking read it. He will breeze through this shit. And then he go, there we go. And then when new episodes come out, he might look at them, but he knows what the story is because that's what he was drawn to. And then he was like, this is pretty good. They stopped. I don't want to stop. Let's keep it going. And then sometimes he looks at the anime, he goes, they did something different that they didn't do in the manga. That's different. That's interesting. That's pretty cool. And then you keep it pushing. You keep it pushing. If it's that damn good, you buy the anime or you buy the manga, depending on which one you have a preference for. You keep it pushing. But when you're tackling anime and manga, especially an adaptation, you should have that same fucking mindset. But they don't, though. They don't. Fuck. So that's why I say heavy character assassination is going to be done within this. Heavy character assassination. I just do not think that there's ever going to be a moment where I'm going to sit there and look at Luffy and I'm going to go, yeah, right now he's being a badass. Or like, yeah, like you done pissed him off. He mad. I doubt I might ever get that. Now, for my prediction, more than anything, and this is definitely coming off the cusp of what happened with Cowboy Bebop and every other fucking animation, live action adaptation they've done on Netflix. But in terms of them tackling the story of this nature, they've bitten off more than they can chew. Like that, and I mentioned that earlier, and it's like I just kind of want to get in a little bit more detail with it. They have definitely bitten off more than they can chew. These people are trying to suppress or condense 100 chapters worth of content within the manga, within the span of 8 fucking episodes. Even when they said to do it from 10 episodes, that was impossible. But to do it with 8 is even more of a ridiculousness. And this again is not counting fucking I'm about to say plot, not the plot, but the story structure itself and essentially how broken it is from what they've shown within the trailer, but as well as the pacing of certain things, flashbacks that are important to characters and their development and exactly how important certain aspects are. The overall nature of generally how things takes place and when they take place within One Piece, where you have moments that span from a whole day tackled this one incident and you just move on to like a whole nother island, or like days pass after they go from one island to another only to then arrive at a new place and then them tackle and handle something that only takes place within a day or whatever. it's very, very much an issue when you essentially don't understand, again, what the fuck you're talking about, but you think that, hey, the real interesting stuff that everybody wants to see happens later on. So let's hurry up and show that. At the rate in which they're doing the series, if they were to get a season 2, which that ain't fucking happening. If they were to get a season 2, at the rate at which they were going, they would try to cover Alabasta within their second season. Now, you see what I'm saying? And it's like, and if you know anything about One Piece, when they go to the Grand Line, you got to go to Misty Peak. You then got to go to Little Island. Then you got to go to fucking Drum Island. Then you got to deal with Alabasta. And are you insane? Like, that's stupid. That's crazy. But again, and it's like what they're handling. And it's like, this is all that they supposedly would be covering within this first season of One Piece. Now, if you didn't know, these are essentially everything that they would be handling. You got Luffy meeting Kobe, Luffy and Kobe freeing Zoro from Captain Morgan. You then have Luffy and Zoro interaction with Buggy, and then them teaming up with Nami. Then it goes into all of them going to meet up with Usopp and then handling Kuro. Going from Kuro to the Barati. And then from the Barati, you have the incident that involves the people who are Ging and the people and then Don Creek's pirate that are hungry. Them being fed, them essentially deciding to attack the Barati. Then Mihawk showing up. Zoro having his bout with Mihawk. Then you have all of them fighting against Don Krieg. Then from them fighting Don Krieg, you have them moving on to once the Don Krieg part, before it even happens, you have Nami betraying them and stealing going Mary. Then you have them going to Arlong Park in Cocoa Village in order to get Nami back. And then upon finding out that Nami betrayed them all, you didn't have them bringing up and talking to you then have them attacking the fishmen, and then Nami getting betrayed by Arlong. Then Nami essentially asking for help, and then you have them going to fight Arlong. After they fight Arlong, then they go to Logtown or Roguetown. I don't remember which one is which. And then them meeting Smoker, them also going to the gallows where Gold Roger was killed, Buggy showing up again, them Zoro getting new swords, Zoro meeting Tashigi looking exactly like Kuina, then them leaving Logtown after Luffy fights Smoker again, into which case it shows another person, Dragon, then them leaving under the protection of a storm that essentially lets them go to the Reverse Mountain, which allows them to enter the Grand Line. I just said a bunch of shit.
See? Do you see? You're wasting time right there.
And they plan on squeezing this in to 8 episodes. I said a lot of shit. And I didn't even bring up all the backstories that are brought up to different characters. Hell, backstories are so poignant within One Piece. It's sick. But so many backstories happen to where even the main character isn't aware of what that backstory is. But it's necessary so you can understand and give heavy character development for the certain characters when they do happen and when it comes up. So you can understand their like devout and dedication towards the things that they're doing and why they want to do them. I didn't even fucking mention that. And then again, I was just mentioning those things in perpetuity. I didn't even talk about the pacing in which stuff was going to happen, the longevity of how things are going to be. Are you going to mention this stuff in passing and then just act as if like, oh, no, that's all you need to talk about in order for this to be carried on in the right effect? Hell, what about the fucking gender inequality that comes with Zoro? Because that's a dope ass thing to tackle, especially early on within One Piece. That is the second. Oh fuck! I didn't even talk about when Luffy got his goddamn hat when he was younger. That's the very first thing. That's the first thing within the manga, but it's the second thing after the whole Alvida thing within the anime. See how that's a difference? That's a little change in structure and whatnot. But Jesus Christ, I didn't even mention that. Again, that's more shit. They're covering all of this within 8 episodes. The fuck? No, they're not. They're not. Without taking some liberties just a few liberties, tiny little liberties, they're gonna fuck up so much shit. Things are gonna happen out of order. Things are gonna be weird. It's gonna be bad. I'm not gonna like it. But but again, the pacing and whatnot, like I said, there's so much stuff that you got to see that's done so you can understand exactly where's this character coming from, because it just leads to that devotion. Hell, again, I was talking about with Zorro, you have literally something that was like, yeah, Netflix would fucking cream their jeans over this bullshit, where it's like, yeah, Zorro's obsession with being the world's strongest swordsman come from the fact that he could never defeat a girl who was better than him, but she was raised and taught that she couldn't be that good because she's a girl. And then Zorro always was wondering, how is that even a factor? You keep beating me. And then with her, it's like, no, I wish I was a boy and I wish all that. And he's like, no, you fine and strong on your own. Why you keep thinking like this? Only then for her to be killed because people feel bad at the fact that a little girl beat them. And then it's crazy in the anime. It's like she fell down the stairs. Because again, there's certain shit you can't show on TV. That was too hot for television. But it she fell down the stairs. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Toei. What the fuck? It's okay. 4Kids did the same thing. Oh man, that's just funny. But you see what I mean when I'm saying they're biting off way more than they could chew with this. And it's like, you can sit there and be delusional as you want, to where it's like, oh no, you can condense and shorten this shit. Not in 8 episodes. Not all of that content in 8 episodes. Not to have the same feeling and emotional journey that you're supposed to get from One Piece in 8 episodes of all of that content. Now again, the perfect thing to have done would be to have all of this lead up to Don Creek. If you were able to stretch out what you were stretch out all the way to them going to the Grand Line, you could have cut that shit. That way you could have dug a deeper dive into the characters, and then you still have all the action that you need to have, all the character development that you need to have. It still could have been something. And that just, it perfectly is equated within them handling Don Creek. Like, I don't understand, why would you even fuck up on that level, because it's such a goddamn layup. And it's like, yeah, you get Zorro taking an L, you get them finally beating Don Krieg, and then him getting Sanji, but at the same time, he has to then, you still got that back, the warning thing in the back of your head, where it's like, yeah, they gotta go get Nami, who betrayed them, after we've seen her with them all this time. How the fuck are you gonna convey that and it actually be something that matters, as actually like, oh, I feel bad that, like, you know, she pulled a lick on their ass. This bitch put a lick on them. And I feel bad, even though right now they're in a perilous situation because they're dealing with Don Krieg while Zoro's very much injured and Usopp is Usopp. And they're now going with someone that's even worse than Don Krieg. Fuck. How do you convey that within this small little window? They do not have the talent to write like that. See, that's the main problem, is that these people are essentially giving them the benefit of the doubt as if they were actually talented and proficient at this shit. They have yet to proven themselves as such. Why are you giving them the benefit of the doubt? This is the equivalent of people who still look at the MCU bullshit, hoping and wishing maybe Iron Man is going to come back and it'll all be better. No, it won't. You're going to keep getting shit like Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Secret Invasion, because that's, you keep looking at this shit. So it's like, fuck. Oh my goodness. Oh my absolute goodness. Don't worry, I'm almost done. I don't give a fuck. No, I need to let this shit out because you people are bugging me. I can't stand y'all. You're the reason the anime community is fucked as it is now. It's like you people cannot just keep sitting there being mouthpieces to this shit. Everyone who sat there and just opened their mouth every time something pretty pops up in terms of anime, and that's all you take it for. It's pretty. Your Name is a shitty movie.
Holy shit!
I said it. It's just pretty. That's it. And they're about to make it a live action. I guarantee you watch that movie in live action, you're going to sit there and go, hey, this story is kind of whack. And it's like, I wonder what was the deciding factor to make you think that this was amazing. It was the animation. Oh my God. Son of a bitch. All right. Now, I believe this is my last thing for my prediction. this is something that essentially is like this is always the biggest faux pas when it comes to this shit, because again, it's someone who doesn't understand what they're talking about, and then they're thinking in terms of a broader spectrum when they themselves aren't in that broad, when they themselves aren't really able to perceive that broader spectrum. And so my last thing is that essentially this is going to cater far more to the current fan base rather than bring in new fans. So rather than be a good telling of One Piece that essentially would get people interested in One Piece as a whole, this is going to be something that is going to be like, look at what I did. Look at me. Fans praise me. Praise me for doing well, for doing good, for mentioning and having hints at shit to where you would go, oh, look at what they did. Look at what they did. Ooh, that's a nice little Easter egg, even though a lot of people keep using that word and not using it correctly. But that for damn sure is going to be the major factor that's going to happen with this, because again, they did it in Death Note, and they definitely did it within Cowboy Bebop. Perfect example of Cowboy Bebop is them ending with Edward the way how they did. That was literally just to sit there and go, you remember Edward? Finally got radical Edward, and it was just terrible. And the problem with that, because again, going back towards the showrunner talking to that fucking anime VTuber guy, you had it to where the showrunner said, I feel bad for the actress. And I was like, I don't feel bad for the actress. She got paid. She did her job. She got paid. And that's it. Anime fans aren't like Star Wars fans. This isn't Hayden Christensen and the boy from the Phantom Menace getting basically bombarded and abused to the point where it's like, oh, they just gotta let this shit go. Like they shouldn't even act anymore because people hate them so goddamn much. That's not how anime fans function. That's not what they do. And that's not what happened. So what had happened was that people criticized and talked about fucking Cowboy Bebop. And the thing is that even upon them talking about and discussing that moment within the live action adaptation, they sat there and looked at it and acted as if she did a perfect representation of Edward. And she didn't. What she did was this cringy, weird ass fucking thing. And it was like, and that's not even what Edward does. Even how she was acting and how she was talking wasn't vindictive of Edward. You can look at the weirdness of Edward and try to convey that that's what she was giving off, but it wasn't. What she was doing was this sporadic, weird, deep voice talk thing of Spike Spiegel. And it's like, why are you fucking doing that? Edward doesn't even generally do stuff like that. Edward speaks and like double talk and whatnot, and even how she was introduced into the series, it was kind of in a cutesy, quirky, weird way where it was like, yo, they just keep getting followed by this weird kid. And that's not what you gave. That's not what they did. They introduced someone, they thought they were being Edward, and essentially everyone else was like, oh, this shit is fucking cringy. And the spin on this shit, because it was just beautiful in what they did, was that they spun it in a way of going, you know what? There's just certain things that you can't really do in live action that's okay in anime. And it's like, no, bitch, she didn't do Edward, period. She was not radical Edward. What she was this weird interpretation of someone trying to do radical Edward because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And it looked weird. It was odd. And it was like, why wouldn't you get a little kid to do something like this? Edward is supposed to be a little kid. Why wouldn't you find a child actor to do this? Instead, you got basically like a damn near grown woman that was just really thin to play this part. And it just went odd. Hell, the part where she like took off her goggles and she started talking serious and like staring at her hands. And I was like, Edward doesn't do stuff like that. So how dare you try to sit there and go, no, this is just weird because it's live action. No, this is weird because that's not the character. And it's even worse because you're trying to blame the live action on the fact that you guys wrote, casted, and directed someone to do something that they're not supposed to do if they're supposed to be that character. But literally, that's all Cowboy Bebop was. So again, you have these people who essentially just don't fucking get it. They don't get it. And the fact that that was what they were talking about upon them seeing that scene, and it was like the discussion became, yeah, you just can't do a one-to-one translation of an anime and the manga. There should be no excuse for that shit now when graphics are at the best that they could possibly be to actually finally give us one-to-one adaptations of anime and manga. Yeah, there will be certain liberties because there's certain things you can't see or do within live action characters that you can with other ones. But you assholes decided to tackle fucking One Piece. One Piece has giants in it. One Piece have characters that stand over fucking 8 feet tall, going on 10, and they're regular people. They're not even the fucking giants. And you decide to purposefully tackle that series upon any other series with the idea and the hopes and the mindset that you can't do a one-to-one adaptation. Are you fucking retarded?
Angry young man.
How unbelievably stupid could you possibly be to look at something that is that well diverse, well casted, well executed, and a fantastic story that has just so an amazing abundance of colorful characters and just fantastic storylines and things like that, and to look at it and go, I want to do this. And if someone's gonna fuck it up, I gotta be the one to fuck it up. That's a quote from what the showrunner said. It is like, if someone's gonna fuck this up, and it's like, if anyone fucks this up, it needs to be me. Like, I need to be the one to fuck it up. Something like that. In the realm of that, I'm paraphrasing now because I'm heated. But and it's to say something like that, and then your mindset be, well, there's certain things I won't be able to do because it's live action. And it's like, then you shouldn't try to do this at all. If I was in your shoes, it would be, yeah, I'm going to do a live action One Piece. Motherfucker, we going to pull every goddamn trick out of the book. We going to do some Peter Jackson shit with the Hobbits on this one. Because there are certain moments and certain fights and certain characters that are just larger than life. And if I want to make sure that they give off that energy, shit, I'm about to do it. I'm going to hit it because I fucking love One Piece and I want it to be respected as such. Not that I just want to do it because Netflix is just desperate for money. That's exactly what this is. The fact that the fucking VTuber didn't understand that either was also a stupid thing. It's like, why the fuck would they tackle One Piece if not for the fact that it's the biggest anime in the world? This is all a cash grab. That's all they were trying to do. And it's going to fail miserably. And the thing is that I feel that there's going to be so many people to try and defend this shit because of the fact that they were so hell-bent on pushing the fact that, hey, the person who's behind it is a fan. You know what else did that? Fucking Marvel with the MCU and Kevin Feige. You want to know the problem with that? Kevin Feige okayed all the shit that's going on in the MCU right now. So much for being a fucking fan. And again, I just told you the shit that doesn't even make sense within the storyline that this showrunner has brought up and did that they showed within the goddamn trailer. He's supposedly a fan. So much for being a fucking fan. This shit is annoying. This is so annoying to see a community so quickly forgive and forget for no reason other than the fact that the people whom they're forgiving are telling them to forgive. It's like they're telling you this time is going to be different. But it's like you immediately went into One Piece right after, like Cowboy Bebop wasn't even finished when y'all started doing One Piece. Y'all already wrote the shit. You're already acting in the shit. You were just finishing up production by the time Cowboy Bebop was over with. Why the fuck would you believe that they would tackle that with any symbolism of respect when they couldn't even do it to Cowboy Bebop? And Cowboy Bebop only has 26 episodes to its name. Fuck. They literally went after the show and went, we're going to subvert expectations and make Julia the main bad guy. Wait till season 2 for this shit to make sense. Faye is now gay. Oh boy, Jet got a daughter. He's divorced and his partner's fucking his wife, his ex-wife. Because that's totally what happened within the series. Wait a minute. No, it isn't. Spike Spiegel couldn't possibly be a 27-year-old person who was in the syndicate and lived in this crazy-ass life and seen so much shit and was wise beyond his years because that's what Shirito Watanabe made. Nah, he needs to be a 40-something-year-old Asian dude because the showrunner of Cowboy Bebop couldn't possibly perceive someone being that young go through so much shit when that was the point of the fucking character.
You sound stupid.
And yet, what did they do to promote? They constantly kept putting the Shirito Watanabe's name everywhere when they was doing it. Hey, he was a consultant. He was a consultant or a producer or whatever they kept saying. And what do they keep doing for this? They keep saying, hey, Ichiro Oda had to okay the scripts. We're not going to sit there and talk about the fact that Ichiro Oda don't own shit. He don't own One Piece. Toei owns One Piece. Netflix likes writing blank checks. They keep writing blank checks. So if Netflix paid Toei to make a One Piece adaptation and Ichiro Oda, who don't own nothing, is basically told they're going to do this. And it's like, but they need to spend it a certain way. So How about you okay this? How about you do that? How about you do this? The fucking anime doesn't even consult with Ichiro Oda. So why the fuck would you think this show's gonna do that? He writes the manga. He's constantly drawing and doing the manga. When the fuck would he have time to even deal with the script for this shit? Aside from the fact that they just telling you he gave the okay. This is marketing, you dumbasses. And the fact that everyone is being blissfully ignorant to this shit for the fucking umpteenth time is disturbing to me. This is beyond stupid. You are given all the clues that are letting you know this is going to be bullshit. So you need to call these people out on their bullshit if you supposedly care. Because I care. I actually care. I'm not like the comic book fans who essentially are trying to jump into anime and manga. Bread and butter is anime and manga. I'm someone who got into anime and manga and then tried to jump into comic books. That's how that shit went. And then the thing is, I started listening to people who were dealing with comic books, and it was like, yeah, this shit going down real fast. And it's like, oh man, that sucks. I'm over here on the anime and manga ship. Y'all need to jump ship. And then they jump ship, and then they started saying the wrong shit. And it was like, wow, what's Demon Slayer? Fuck. Nah, man, it's Dragon Ball Z. Oh, Demon Slayer, so cool. No, damn it. Oh, Naruto. Who loves Naruto? Fuck, no. One Piece. One Piece is way better than Naruto. Oh, man, Naruto with ninjas? Fuck, no. Pirates. I swear to God, the pirates are better. It's a much better story. Naruto's shit. And so, because of that, this isn't something that essentially I want to see basically go through the same motions that has happened to my beloved Spider-Man. To where you have so many people who think they know what they're doing fuck up a character on just the simplistics of shit. Simplistics of shit. That's not English. On the simplest of shit. To where, hell, Andrew Garfield did one of the best Spider-Man ever. Like, he literally, captured that character fucking perfectly. And only to look at those movies and just know in the back of my head the fact that the director had this stupid idea of going, I want to talk about his parents. Because you don't really see that much. So let's have a major focus be that his father did this stuff and it made him special beyond special, because why wouldn't he? When realistically, that was never the concept of the character. It was something so fucking bad that they had to go back in when they did the animated Miles Morales movie and essentially have Stan Lee in a last shining moment before he passed, sadly, to sit there and say, it's like to sit there and give the actual message of Spider-Man. They had Mary Jane say it, and then they had him kind of talk when he sold the little suit to Miles. And then it was like, yeah, it always fits eventually. And then when Mary Jane said it, it was like, yeah. And it's like, you wear, it's not about who's behind the mask, but it's the symbol that the mask represents. Because that's the point of Spider-Man. That's why he's covered from head to toe, and everyone loves him, and he's the most popular superhero in the world. Because everyone can emulate and relate to this motherfucker. He has a regular life, but he still does what he does, despite the fact that, yeah, he gotta pay rent, he gotta pay bills. There's a girlfriend who's upset at the fact that he don't show up for dinner all the time. That's the beauty of that character. But to have a director basically go to his fan fiction stupid mind and then sit there and go, what about his dad? What about his mom? What about his mom and his dad? And it's like, nigga, if you would have looked up anything about his parents, you would have seen that no one gives a fuck. That's not what's important to Peter Parker. That's not what's special about Peter Parker. You do not need that information. And it is dumb to even associate or to attempt to bring that information to light because it's not necessary. You have yet to do a solid Spider-Man storyline. You have yet to do a solid Spider-Man movie. Do that first. Focus on goofy shit later. But you wanted to tackle that. You want to tackle Electro. You want to tackle Gwen leaving. You want to tackle him not wanting to be with Gwen. You want to tackle him dealing with Harry. You want to tackle Harry dealing with a fucking genetic disease, all this goofy shit that you wanted to stuff into this damn movie for no fucking reason. And it just blew up in your face. And it's like, I love The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I do. I love The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But when I watch that movie, I skip a bunch of fucking scenes. And the thing is that essentially, I don't want to see that thing that happened to my favorite superhero That thing that essentially haunts my dreams because Tom Holland is the worst Spider-Man that has ever fucking existed. But every mouthpiece that's available because they love the MCU will tell you Tom Holland's great when he has literally done nothing vindictive of Spider-Man at all. He's done nothing. That is Iron Man Jr. That is not Spider-Man at all. I do not want to see that happen. Two characters that I literally grew up and fell in love with as a series, as a concept, as everything that I hold dear within my fandom, which is anime and manga. And One Piece is one of such series. It's a series that I looked at. I was following One Piece to the T back when it first got shown in America on fucking 4Kids. Well, not 4Kids, Foxbox. So trust me when I say I'm a soldier in this shit. And again, it's not my favorite anime, but it's a beloved anime. I still look at the episodes to this day. I still read the manga. I read the manga and I watch the episodes. I'm a fan of One Piece. I wouldn't have all this knowledge on hand if I didn't care about One Piece. And my problem is that the people who are attempting to do this shit do not care. They will use and say any means necessary to sell this shit. And the thing is that as soon as you come to grips to understand, that's what these people do. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. As soon as you come to grips and understanding that, the better off you will be in associating the bullshit before they even spit it out. So I guarantee you, each Oda had nothing to do with these fucking scripts because you can already tell this shit is not flowing the way that his stories would flow. So that's out the window. Also, the fact that he would basically give the A-OK on anything that's going on. They're changing characters. They're changing the dynamic of a character. The core dynamic of a character that he created within his series that literally ain't over with yet. And they're changing that shit and going on to making what they're making under the guise of, well, I love One Piece, so I'm going to do what I do. That's what I do. No. Hell, he recently came out, Ichiro recently came out and said, it is what it is. He just wants the, basically, One Piece to reach audiences everywhere. And he doesn't necessarily care how that's done. Right? But again, he don't own nothing. It's like, yeah, he's paid for his work. That's that. But Toei gets the final say in whatever the fuck they got going on with One Piece. I would say, if anything, he will probably have control over how One Piece is going to end, which is kudos to him. But more so, they have a history. If you look at like Shonen Jump in general, they have a history of taking the creators and making them extend their series because of how popular it is. Case in point, Dragon Ball Z and fucking Naruto had the same issue happen. But, not to say that, with a talented writer, you can still make something out of nothing. Dragon Ball Z being the one thing, and actually being someone that, is a shitty writer, and then you just completely tripping over your heels and like fucking up entirely. Naruto being that.
Okay, I gotta admit, that was humorous.
But you have to understand that all this stuff that they're saying, all the stuff that they're giving you for you to try to have ammo against what it is that I'm arguing against, it ain't there, man. It ain't there. They ain't got it. It's not it. This is definitely not it. This is going to be a bad adaptation. This is not going to be a good concept of One Piece. It will not be a wonderful adaptation done under One Piece. It won't be something that was done as a labor of love by someone who actually is a fan. This is going to be a cash grab done by Netflix that's going to lose them money because they suck. That's all that it is, and that's all that it ever will be. And that's all I gotta say about that. So, by, the end of August, when it comes out, we'll finally be able to see this shit show in its entirety. And I decided, upon talking to a friend of mine who I literally just got into watching One Piece, because, it's funny when you get people to jump into One Piece. It's just funny. More than any other anime, it's funnier to get people into One Piece than anything else. But I got my friend into watching One Piece, and upon talking with him, he was like, maybe you should do your episodes after each episode that you watch. And I was like, all right, instead of doing like one big clump, I'm gonna just do it episode after episode. But yeah, I'll talk about this shit again when I'm undoubtedly right. I guarantee it. This is not going to be good. It's just not. Whatever. Hey, real quick, make sure you check any of the links down below if you want to see any of their stuff that I'm involved with. This includes more episodes of my podcast, as well as a comic book that I'm working on with my buddies over at These Guys. But as always, this has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Daniel the Flame, and as always, good people, I hope you had fun.